To become champion in the PFL, you must master moment after moment.
Center of the smart cage they go.
4 fights in 8 months, the toughest test in MMA. Now, the journey is almost complete.
I want to win it for him so bad.
So they're to the championship.
The work nearly done for the biggest night in MMA.
A $1 million opportunity.
6 title fights for $6 million.
Unbelievable. Wow. Way too fast.
We've seen this event change lives.
Larissa Pacheco, one of the biggest upsets in our sport.
Again, 12 fighters are on the brink of history. After moments of precision, strength, creative genius, and unwavering fortitude, who will find that final flash of brilliance? The Canadian who learned from the best before carving his own name into the record books. Or the small-town kid from Utah, whose ferocity in the cage is only rivaled by his toughness out of it. The 6'8" Brazilian with uncommon power and agility. Or the combat sambo champ with clinical finishing talent. And that's just 2 of 6 world title fights on this massive night. Who will make this their moment with everything on the line? This is what they've worked for. This is what they've fought for. This is the 2023 PFL World Championship.
Welcome, fight fans, to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, on a Thanksgiving night, which means the turkey has been eaten, the pies are all gone, and the MMA world can turn its attention to the 2023 PFL World Championship on ESPN Plus, ESPN pay-per-view. 6 world title fights, 2 showcase bouts with returning 2-time champions, Ray Cooper III, Kayla Harrison, facing game opponents here, and 12 fighters on the night, 10 of whom will be on our pay-per-view portion, squaring off for $1 million and a PFL World Championship. Sean O'Connell here, happy to be with you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to our press gathered and all the people taking time out of their days to enjoy with us a special night as we get set up for the 2023 World Championship. We're going to bring our fighters out momentarily, but some of the biggest news that the MMA world has seen in many years broke this week. Earlier this week, the Professional Fighters League purchased Bellator Mixed Martial Arts, creating a global MMA powerhouse with, quite frankly, endless possibilities for the future of both organizations. PFL champions and Bellator champions. That is one solid plan we know we will see in 2024. So the long-awaited promotional champion versus promotional champion bouts that we've always theorized over as MMA fans, those are possibilities for us now because of the visionary leadership of folks like Pete Murray and Don Davis. The sport is reaching new heights because of the Professional Fighters League in 2024 and beyond. But we're here to focus on the 2023 championship. 6 $1 million prizes, 6 title belts, 6 championships, and lives, legacies, and careers changed forever. Without further ado, I'd like to bring our fighters out. Our first fight on the pay-per-view card, with fighters here tonight at least, 3 5-minute rounds at 150 pounds. This is a showcase bout. A returning 2-time lightweight women's world champion, a legend of the sport in Kayla Harrison, squaring off against the always game Aspen Ladd, one of the hot prospects in the sport of mixed martial arts. So first, Aspen Ladd, please come out to the stage. And back after a year away from the smart cage, a refocused and hungry 2-time champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Kayla Harrison. Our first championship bout of the evening will take place in the featherweight division. Two rising prospects, well shy of their 30th birthdays, the future of the sport. We're watching it unfold with this fight. Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga. Jesus Pinedo, first to the stage. Still undefeated, and he started his year on our PFL Challenger Series, which means he's had one more fight even than everyone else who reached this point in their season. Gabriel Braga. Up next, my favorite weight class, everyone else's favorite weight class too. This is where the real action happens. Light heavyweights, Josh Silveira and Impa Kasanganay. Impa Kasanganay, welcome to the stage. Just like Gabriel Braga, Impa Kasanganay started his season with the PFL in our Challenger Series. One extra bout on his calendar. His opponent, Josh Silveira. Josh Silveira, also a product of the PFL Challenger Series, albeit a year prior. Last season, he came from the Challenger Series all the way to the semifinals. Here he is fighting for his first PFL Light Heavyweight Championship. Up next, whoever wins this bout will take home a second gold belt and a second $1 million check. Sadabusi and Magomed Karamov. Maga Millions first to the stage. Season 1 welterweight champion, multiple-time finalist Magomed Karamov. His opponent, of course, the Swedish Denzel Sadabusi, is back. Sadabu started his PFL career all the way back in Season 1 as a middleweight. Moved down to the welterweight division, took home his first title last season, 1 year ago. Sadabusi looking to go back-to-back. Up next, the Women's Featherweight Championship and the potential for PFL history. Larissa Pacheco looking to become the first PFL fighter to take home belts in two different weight classes. She pulled off the upset last year to get the lightweight title, now seeking a featherweight title as she squares off against Marina Moknatkina. Moknatkina, the 7-time combat sambo champion, to the stage. And looking to stake her claim as the best female fighter on the planet, Larissa Pacheco, trying to go back-to-back in two separate weight classes. That brings us to our co-main event of the evening. This is a heavyweight world championship, literally and figuratively a massive fight. These are two huge human beings, Denis Goltsov and Renan Ferreira. First to the stage, Renan Ferreira, 6 feet 8 inches tall, longest reach in the PFL and in PFL history. Now representing American Top Team, where his skill set has rounded out very nicely, fighting for his first 265-pound championship. His opponent, Denis Goltsov, is a multiple-time World Combat Sambo champion, incredibly experienced mixed martial artist, over 40 fights on his resume, the #1 seed in the playoffs, and now heading into the championship. And that, of course, brings us to the main event of the evening. This will be for the lightweight strap, 155-pound, $1 million world championship between the Canadian gangster Olivier Aubin-Mercier and Cassius Clay Collard. First to the stage, Clay Collard, the most exciting man in mixed martial arts, multiple-time Fight of the Year candidate, always Fight of the Night candidate, main event fighter many times over, and once again in our championship here in 2023. His opponent looking to go back-to-back, and to remain undefeated inside the PFL Smart Cage, Olivier Aubin Mercier, trying to make it 2 perfect seasons in a row. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Glad to see all of you here. We will now open up for questions from the press. We do have a stick mic to pass around. Please wait for the mic to be passed to you. Address your question to whichever fighters. Mr. Morgan, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving. John Morgan here, guys. Start things off with Olivier Aubin Mercier, if we could, please. Olivier, you've teased all along this might very well be your last fight, your last season. With that in mind, has this fight week been any different? Have you taken things in any differently, knowing that it could be the last time you do this?
Fighters, please remember, push the button on your microphone.
Sorry, I stopped listening to anything right now. What? Yes. What? No, yeah, everything was easier this week, you know, because I know it's the last time, so everything was almost fun. Weigh-in was so easy. And, well, this is not fun. What here and there, it's really, really not fun, but other than that, was good, you know?
Yeah. I did wonder, though, as Sean mentioned, the big news with the Bellator roster around now, did that maybe get you thinking a little bit? I mean, you win here, maybe you face a Bellator champion next year. There's so many things you could do rather than maybe just run into a season again. So did that maybe change the possibilities of, hey, maybe I might stick around a little longer?
Yeah, for sure it make me think, but, you know, the sand on my feet is going to be maybe make me think more, you know?
Very much, I understand. Hey, Clay, for you as well. I mean, listen, he said you've developed a reputation as one of the most exciting fighters in the sport, but I know you want to be champion, I guess. So what are your emotions like right now, being on the eve of finally fulfilling that goal that you've been working on for a couple seasons?
I'm just going to go in there and have fun and do what I love to do, and whatever happens, happens, man.
Nice. We know it'll be an exciting fight. I want to ask you as well. You've also taken out a lot of high-profile free agents, big names. I know you got a task at hand right here, but have you started to look at maybe that Bellator roster a little, start picking some names off of maybe some people you'd like to take out next year?
I think their champ is out because he failed the test, you know. So, I mean, he's the only one I have my eyes on. So.
My first question is for Braga. I'm curious, there are a lot of Brazilians on this card and have been throughout the season. Have you guys been able to come together and lean on each other this season at all?
Gabriel, vários brasileiros nesse card, aqui na PFL em geral, essa temporada. Existe uma amizade, uma irmandade entre vocês, um ajuda o outro? Como é o sentimento assim entre os brasileiros aqui na PFL?
Cara, eu tenho uma afinidade com todos. Eu tenho a minha essência e eu sou feliz e trato todo mundo bem, entendeu? Quem me tratar bem, quem quiser ser meu amigo, vai ser meu amigo, porque eu sou isso aqui, velho. Não só os brasileiros, todo mundo.
Well, regardless of your nationality, I'm just myself. I'm a people person. I love hanging out. I love getting to know other people. Love smiling and chatting it up. So regardless of where you're from, if you're nice to me, I'll be as nice to you.
Next question for Impa. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about your journey and the sacrifices you've made this season to get you here today.
Hey, Amy, how you doing? Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. You know, the sacrifices made this season just a testimony to, trusting my calling that God's put me here to fight. PFL's been awesome to me, right? A year ago, I was on the farm, a little bit before that in the car. But I just know that, being at a great gym at Kill Cliff and just know that it's my calling to fight, I just had to stay committed to the process. And the sacrifice is always worth it because I'm sitting here today. I'm fighting an excellent fighter in Josh Silveira. Great legacy, great lineage, and that's what you want to do to become a champion. Those are the guys that you want to fight. So for me, it's just when I reflect on it, I think about it as every time you go through something challenging, you got to understand the other side of it, that God has something better for you. Just stick with it, you know?
Renan, primeiro, feliz aniversário. Queria te perguntar, você já está competindo aqui na PFL faz alguns anos, já participou de torneios antes. O que você traz de diferente para essa temporada? O que você aprendeu? O que é diferente para você que te credencia a ser campeão finalmente esse ano?
Renan, first and foremost, happy birthday, my friend. You've been around the PFL for a while. This is your 3rd season. What do you bring to the table this season that's different than what you brought to the last two that's made you successful this time around?
Obrigado pelas felicitações aí, Diego. E com certeza me sinto mais experiente, com mais treinado, mais capacitado e cada vez querendo mais. Esse ano cheguei nessa final, estou muito feliz e vou dar um show aí e buscar essa vitória.
Appreciate the birthday wishes. Just experience, mileage, and knowledge of how this whole thing works. I'm extremely well trained, had a great camp, very, very motivated and happy to be here.
Larissa, recentemente, essa semana, a PFL anunciou que comprou o Bellator e muitos fãs, social media, fóruns, muito se fala sobre a possibilidade de uma luta entre a Kayla Harrison e a Cris Cyborg. Você, como campeã, tendo a oportunidade de ser campeã em 2 categorias, como você se sente vendo essa possível ou hipotética luta tão comentada? Você se sente talvez um pouco desrespeitada? Deveria ser o seu nome que deveria ser jogado ali, é o seu nome que deve ser apontado como para superlutas? É isso que você quer?
Larissa, with the purchase, the PFL's purchase of Bellator, a lot of people were talking about, the potential fight between Kayla Harrison and Cris Cyborg. You're out here trying to cement your legacy as the first 2-division champion with the PFL. How does it feel to have Kayla's name be the one mentioned on the Cris Cyborg matchup? Is this something that makes you feel disrespected, not to have your name on that conversation, given the fact that you're fighting for a belt tomorrow night?
Bom, eu acho que quando essas conversas surgiram, né, eles não achavam que a Kayla deixaria de ser campeã em nenhum momento, mas isso foi uma coisa que aconteceu. Hoje eu sou atual campeã e tenho a possibilidade esse ano de me tornar, né, bicampeã da PFL em 2 categorias diferentes. Então, se for campeã versus campeã, eu acho que o meu nome tem que estar na frente dessa vez.
Well, I think when these conversations started about Kayla facing Cyborg, PFL and the MMA world thought that Kayla would, remain champion. So things have changed. I'm the current champion. Tomorrow I look forward to cementing my legacy even further. And if it's a champion versus champion conversation, that I believe my name should be, the headliner on it.
Question for Jesus Pinedo. Jesus, obviously it's just been a few months since you first fought Gabriel Braga. What can you tell us in terms of the ways that you've developed as a fighter and as a person since that first fight, and what can he expect tomorrow night?
Jesús, ha sido solo unos cuantos meses desde tu primera lucha con Braga. ¿Cómo has mejorado y qué esperas hacer mejor esta vez?
Siento que he mejorado mucho en todo sentido, ¿no? Desde que empezó el torneo no soy el mismo peleador, he entrenado muy fuerte, pero más que en lo técnico y en lo físico, mentalmente estoy muy fuerte, ¿no? Para esta pelea y para las peleas que vengan, en verdad.
Overall, I've gotten better during this tournament. My mentality has changed a lot. I feel physically much more ready for this fight, and I'm ready for any fight in the future.
And for Josh Silveira, Josh, obviously it's been a long road for you from last year's playoffs to now getting ready to fight in the championship. What can you tell us in terms of the biggest things that you learned about yourself as a person and as a fighter from last year's postseason to now?
So, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Some of the things I've learned, just maturing, accepting when things don't go your way all the time, growing from it, just taking it day by day, just trying to get 1% better, and always try to be a better guy than I was yesterday, right? So I think from last year to this year, I'm a completely different person. I'm a better human being, a better athlete, better fighter, just a better man in general,
Question for Miss Kayla Harrison. Curious, how have you compared the rebound process for your first MMA loss compared to your first judo loss, if you've compared them at all?
Can you say that again? It's hard to hear up here.
How have you kind of compared the rebound process after the first losses?
In judo, I think it's really, you're lucky that you don't have to sit on a loss for very long. You know, you're competing back to back to back. You know, there's a European tour, an Asian tour, a South American tour, the World Championships, the World Master. Like, there's a tournament every single month, sometimes multiple a month. So if you lose, you don't have too long to sit there and marinate in it, so to speak. So this was a long process for me, but a beautiful one. I think that I came out of it a better person, kind of like Josh was just saying. You know, I have had a whole year to grow inside the cage. I've been training hard, and also outside of the cage. I feel like I'm a better mom, I'm a better friend, I'm a better teammate, I'm a better human being, and I have real joy in my life, and every day I get to wake up and do what I love. So it's sometimes, you know, God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
And question for Aspen. Obviously, with the Bellator addition to PFL, now it's reignited the Cyborg talks for a Kayla fight. And I'm just curious, you know, in general, does it bother you being kind of overlooked for things like that? Or do you enjoy it? Just how have you taken hearing those kind of things?
Not at all. As far as those talks, for example, I wasn't supposed to be here. This was a short notice, a beautiful opportunity for me to be here. So I have not thought about that in any way as far as, like, it's an insult not to be included in that conversation. You have Larissa over here fighting for a belt. You have Kayla, who's been the face of the organization. So no, there's no, like, oh my gosh, I wasn't considered. Didn't even occur to me.
Question for Sadibou Sai. Sadibou, just over here. You're here again in the same position as you were last year. How do you compare the feelings from now to last year, having had the experience of winning it?
Hey, how's everyone doing? To be honest, the feeling is the same. The most important thing is always the next fight for me. I take every fight as serious as I can. So being here is a blessing, and it's something that, to be honest, I really don't take for granted. Even though I really train my ass off and I'm obsessed and I make sure I do whatever it takes to be here, it's nothing that I take for granted. This season, as everyone up here can tell you about, is so grueling. It's 4 fights in 7-8 months, weight cuts, except for the big guys. It's so nothing is certain. So being here again is a blessing.
I'm sure you obviously don't want to look too far ahead, but if you are victorious and you would have done the grueling season twice on the spin, in terms of sort of next year, would you put yourself through it again to do the hat trick, or would you potentially look at the Bellator roster, the PFL Super Fight Series? Where do you think your future would lie next year?
To be honest, all my focus is on tomorrow. But I have a beautiful team around me, and I know that after this fight we will get together and we'll see what the future holds.
Question for Magomed. Magomed, you've already beat Sadibou once. That fight was just over 2 years ago. You and him have both been on a great winning streak since then. Do you see this as a rematch, or do you think it will go very different to the first fight?
Магомед, вопрос вам. Вы уже с Садибу встречались 2 года назад. Опыт у вас есть, и с этого времени он изменился, вы изменились. Ты это воспринимаешь как рематч, то есть как бы у вас повторный, или ты считаешь, вы подходите как новые люди к этому бою?
Да, 2 года назад мы встречались с Абиду. Он тоже вырос как боец, я тоже вырос. Это для меня не как реванш. Это может ему, это реванш. А для меня это очередной бой, очередная победа, иншаллах, и хочу забрать пояс.
Yeah, indeed. We met up with him a couple of years ago, and I see that Sadibou grew since that time. For him, it might be a rematch. For me, it's not. You know, I had a lot of opponents, and I keep training. I just look forward to getting my belt, and help God, we're going to get it done.
This question for Marina. I wanted to ask, do you believe that the winner of this fight is pound for pound the best women's fighter on the planet?
Марина, вопрос вам. Считаете ли вы, что победитель этого боя будет лучшим бойцом паунд на паунд во всем мире?
Безусловно, пояс – это высшая награда
в этом гран-при. Это моя цель, и я не думаю о том, кто передо мной стоит. Я лишь совершенствуюсь как боец, быть лучшей своей версией и идти дальше.
For me personally, it's about my growth. I've gone a long way. You know, I'm happy to be here. I've been training. I've been practicing. I'm looking forward to get the belt. But again, for me, it's mostly conquering myself and improving myself.
And for Dennis, I wanted to know, do you feel that the winner of your fight should fight Francis Ngannou next after his move into boxing and when he comes back to MMA next year?
Денис, вопрос вам. Считаете ли, что победитель этого боя в следующем году потенциально должен выйти на Фрэнсис Нгану как оппонента?
Ну, на самом деле загадывать не будем, но, судя по всему, завтра выясним, кто чемпион, и, думаю, вполне возможно, чемпион имеет право претендовать на этот бой. Почему нет?
I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah, tomorrow we have to have a fight tomorrow first, and I think the champion of that fight probably going to have to face him possibly next year.
Hey Olivier, if PFL offer you a super fight against Usman Nurmagomedov, would you accept? And do you believe you will have the keys to victory?
I don't know. I don't really think about that right now. And to be honest, right now, I don't care.
Perfect. Thank you. Sadibou, are you a better striker than Cedric Doumbé? He talked a lot about you.
100%.
Thank you very much.
Josh, if you were to win the belt, would you ask to get your father to wrap the belt around your waist?
Absolutely. I think that's the plan. That's the game plan already. So him and Ray are gonna have to figure that out in there.
Hey, Aspen, so I'm curious, you're quite documented as a big hiker. Washington, D.C.'s got some nice trails. Have you been able to be out this week at all?
Unfortunately, on weeks like this is a work trip. So there's really not much time for anything else, but it's awesome in its own way. Like, there's certain things, like I'll go see some museums and things, but no, I'm here to handle business. I'm here to basically take care of my obligations for this week. And that's really all that's on my mind on basically a fight trip, a work trip.
And for Impa, I mean, reflect really quick for me the past experiences you've had going from 2021 to now being an inch away from $1 million. When you think about your process over the last couple of years, what comes to mind?
When I reflect from 2021 to now, I'm just grateful, right? When I got that knockout, when Buckley knocked me out, I said, play that highlight as much as you want. When I become a champion, play that highlight too. So I'm here. Tomorrow I claim victory, I move forward. I'm grateful. So it's just, you got to stay the course, right? My dad would always say, like, in order to know my glory, you first have to understand my story. And when I really reflect on the story, like, there's no glory without a great story, right? There's nothing to be gained in playing small, nothing to be gained in not taking a risk, and nothing to be gained about fighting average fighters. Again, you know, they just mentioned Josh and his dad and see what they've done together. And like, if any time to earn a title, that's tomorrow, right? That's the day you do it. So it's an honor. And I think you get those moments after you go through some challenging times. And it doesn't mean my life is more challenging than the next person's. It just happened to be mine. And I get a shirt on a world stage. And hopefully people can see my life as an inspiration for them. And they can realize, because I think a lot of people around this world go through a lot harder things than me. My parents coming to this country from Congo, and all the fighters up here too have their own stories. So when I reflect on it, I hope I can be just somebody that people can relate to, and, you know, proclaim his victory tomorrow, and it'll be that great moment. It doesn't take away from this guy over here or his dad or anything they've done. It just makes you realize, like, no matter how high you go, no matter how low you go, you just got to stay steady in the process.
My first question is for Kayla. You're coming back from your first loss. In the time that you've been kind of recovering and coming back to get ready for your next fight, what kind of weapons and tools have you added to improve yourself as a fighter?
It's hard to add weapons when you're just a freaking weapon of yourself, you know what I mean? But I just got really comfortable. Do you have something to say, Sean? Would you like to? chime in here? Giving me the
I just
back
want to watch you answer.
bombastic side eye. Where was I? Yeah. Listen, I just spent the last year getting humble again, getting hungry. I was a training partner for all of my teammates. I was in the gym every day, working hard. I got really comfortable being uncomfortable, and I feel like I've grown everywhere. I've gotten better in my striking. I've gotten better in my submissions. I've gotten better in my ground and pound. I've gotten better in my range, my distance, my control, my composure, my fitness. I mean, I think I've grown a lot in this last year, and I'm excited to show everybody tomorrow night.
For Clay Collard, you and OAM both fought Shane separately, and you had different approaches to taking him down and to winning the fight. How do you think that combined experience is going to play into your fight tomorrow?
I think we're both very different fighters from Shane, so I think it's irrelevant. He's a completely different type of fighter, and I think I am as well. So yeah, I'm just excited to get in there and test myself against OAM.
Last question is for Impa. When we were in New York, we saw you on the floor with a camera taking pictures with all of us. When can we see more of that?
So, thanks. How you doing? You know, for me, it was an honor to get to work with Cooper, Matt, and everybody, the whole media team. So thanks for including me. It's fun learning, like, to see the other side of the cage. And, like, shout out to the staff for PFL. Y'all do a great job. Happy Thanksgiving. So I plan to go to the PFL Europe card in Ireland, so I'd like to go maybe do that, help them get some shots. You know, for me, it's the start of the series, and I'll share it after the season. But Asher's doing behind-the-scenes shots of just the people on staff. They work hard. They're here on Thanksgiving. They're doing so much stuff for us. Like, we get photos all the time, right? So they got to have something to take home, too. That was my main thing. So hopefully, every other fight when I'm not fighting. But we'll see as long as PFL allows me to do it. Have a good one.
Kayla, this question's for you. I see as of late you were training with the GOAT in grappling, Gordon Ryan. Talk to me about that experience.
Who?
I saw you were training with Gordon Ryan, the GOAT in grappling. Talk to me about that experience.
I mean, he is just such a character, isn't he? I don't have much. He didn't come over to my mat. He stayed on the other mat. He was like, I don't know about that judo stuff. No, it was great to have him at the gym. He came down, worked with all the big guys. Him and Mako have, you know, legendary goes, him and Buchecha and Andre. I mean, just all of the big guys at the gym. So it's always fun. American Top Team is beautiful in that way, right? Like, we have such a deep, deep roster and amazing coaches, great facility, and we get all kinds of really cool visitors who come in and want to step at me, but I just gotta, just kidding.
I got you. And Sadabu, actually, this question go for Sadabu and Impa. Obviously, you guys have ties to Africa, right? And Francis is coming over. Pending the outcome of tomorrow and you guys become champions, what would be the magnitude of you guys, you three, headlining a PFL Africa card?
That's one of the easiest questions for tonight. That would be a dream come true.
How you doing? You know, being the son of immigrants, right? Getting to represent Congo in the United States, I think it'd be an honor to headline a PFL Africa card with Francis. He's done so much for MMA. Sadabu over here, he's killing it too, right? And to be a part of that, to be mentioned, that's what dreams are made of. To see my dad, you know, the flag, my dad sewed my flag together, right? And, you know, to carry his flag and my mom's flag on the great continent of Africa and just show that people can make it too, no matter their circumstance, that'd be a great honor.
One last question here.
Hi, I'm Josh. You are one of 4 team members here competing from American Top Team. So what does it mean for you to become potentially the 8th champion in the PFL from ATT?
It means a lot. You know, being a champion is something that I've been going after my whole life. Being part of American Top Team, it's like the best team in the world, really is. That's even more of of a staple of what I'm doing, you know, watching my dad, Dan, Richie, Primo, all these guys that nobody know, they're the background guys that built the team the way that it's built. There's a reason why we're at every event. If you look at the cars, there's ATT guys all the time. You know, we're always ready. So for me to give this back to them, this is just a little bit of being grateful. And I'm glad the way that it's structured, right? Killcliff, ATT, my dad's the head coach. This is a lot. This is for all the marbles right here, and I love it. I tell everybody all the time, pass me the ball. I'll shoot the last shot. Pass me the ball. Don't pass it to no one else. I like this position. I love the pressure, and ATT gets a belt tomorrow night for sure.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to wrap up the presser. We appreciate all of you in the press for coming, anyone who submitted questions. Obviously, thank you to all the fighters.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome. And especially happy Thanksgiving. We know it's a sacrifice to be here on a night like this one. Hopefully everyone has an opportunity tomorrow night, Black Friday. Set aside that $50 for your pay-per-view because we have 5 world title fights and the return of two-time champions against stellar opponents. Derek Brunson making his PFL debut, Aspen Ladd looking to pull off a huge statement win, and 5 $1 million checks and 5 gold belts on our pay-per-view card will be handed out. The coverage actually will begin at 5 o'clock with our pre-show on ESPN+. And then, of course, we have some showcase bouts leading up to our first title bout of the evening. That one will be in featherweight. Gabriel Braga and Jesus Pinedo. These guys are 25 and 27 years old, the absolute future of this sport, already squaring off for a $1 million world championship. It's only going to get bigger and better from here as the PFL has acquired Bellator, doubling the size of the roster. We are now on par with the UFC in terms of top-ranked fighters in the world. 30% of our fighters and 30% of their fighters are ranked among the top in the world, looking to be a global MMA powerhouse and a co-leader in this space. Tune in tomorrow night on ESPN Plus and on ESPN pay-per-view as the 2023 PFL season comes to an end here in Washington, D.C. Fighters are all weighed in. The hay is in the barn, so to speak. The work has been done, and the fun part is tomorrow night as we watch the dream come true for 6 different fighters. For 6 title hopefuls, they will have to hit the reset button and come back for the 2024 season. But it's the beauty of the PFL True Sports format. Even if you don't win the championship this year, 3 months from now, you can begin the journey again. There's your welterweight championship. One of those men will take home their second belt. Sada Busi, Magomed Karimov have been part of the PFL since the very beginning of this organization. Season 1, when I won a championship. Little reminder for all of you. Larissa Pacheco could be the first 2-division champion. Marina Mokhnakina could pull off one of the biggest upsets in the sport. It would be the biggest upset on the card tomorrow night if she can make it happen. The heavyweights. This is the largest matchup in PFL history. Height-wise, reach-wise, weight-wise, these are 2 behemoths with a ton of experience. And as you heard earlier, maybe the winner can stake a claim to a Francis Ngannou fight. And how about this? The Canadian Gangster and Cassius Clay Collard in a main event. Will this be the last time we see OAM? Will this be the first time we see Clay Collard with a gold belt? Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on ESPN+.